Well, on this episode of Bad Watch, we watched Quantico.
We made terrible choices.
Which is, in fact, the show that the first time I saw even a clip of it, I was like, someone should do a podcast where they just watch bad TV shows and then make fun of them. And here we are.
Yeah, thankfully.
The dream has been realized.
God, I hate it. I hate this episode. I hate that we watched it. And I mean, there's a little bit of resentment building towards you right now. A little bit, Evan. Oh, so he's Evan.
He's Andy.
And we're doing our Bad Watch thing.
This is Bad Watch.
And I'm just going to go ahead. I'm sorry that you're about to hear about this episode.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Quantico Season 2, Episode 1 is called KUDOVE in all capital letters, which every time I look at it, it looks like a fun candy bar that I have yet to enjoy. KUDOVE.
Instead, what happened is we ingested it, and now we're slowly dying.
Quantico, Andy,
I just want to say, I just feel so bitter about watching this episode. I'm so angry about it.
Andy, I did a little research on the show's star, who is named Priyanka Chopra. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. She is a super famous Bollywood actor.
Oh.
And this is basically
her breakout role sort of thing?
I think this show only exists to make her a star in the United States.
And how's that going for her?
To the extent that worked. Because, spoiler alert, Quantico was canceled after 3 seasons from ABC. They were like, yeah, we're going to devote more time to Once Upon a Time. Because Disney's just gangbusters these days. But she was also in Baywatch. I think she was the villain in the Baywatch movie.
Which I did not see.
Did anyone?
It sounds like you did. Or this is in your research. You discovered this fact.
This was in my research.
Okay. And
I did see, she was like on Jimmy Fallon, I think, promoting the Baywatch movie.
Oh, okay.
Which I have not seen. But Zac Efron and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are in it. Mm-hmm. That guy, I think, says yes to everything.
I mean, I think he likes money, which is okay with me.
You know, doesn't he have enough? You know what? I shouldn't judge. Maybe he gives a lot of it to charity. Don't fact check that. I'll be very disappointed when I find out the truth, probably.
The markets aside, I didn't go see Baywatch. All I heard was him blowing up on Twitter about how Baywatch was great, and he was really angry. I remember that. That's all I remember about.
I find that very hard to believe. Anywho. So, Quantico, Season 2, Episode 1, KUDOVE, it's terrible, for lack of a better word. Yeah. And it starts with, it's Alex, the main character played by Priyanka Chopra, is in a car with a jowly white man, and he's saying, "You did a fine job with the FBI." And he's like, I have another task for you. It's sort of like if Charlie on Charlie's Angels, like you ever saw him outside of the radio, and you see him,
the awkwardness level shoots
you're just
the
like,
roof.
I really wish we kept this as a purely audio relationship. And she's like, I'm in. And then literally the screen, on one corner it says then, and it sort of shifts, and as the word moves across the screen, it then morphs into now.
So I just need to. So if anyone watches this, and it doesn't seem like a lot of people did, that's why it got canceled. I'm sorry, because this is just, there are so many cuts. I stopped watching it, I paused it, and checked the time, because I was like, I don't think I've ever been this confused by cuts, and I wanted to see how far we gotten in. It got 5 minutes and 40 seconds in before I was like, I no longer know. I've lost the thread of where we're going and when we are, and even like who. I don't know anymore.
It's extremely hard to keep track of when we are, and it's Quantico is interesting from the standpoint of it's basically a speculative fiction television show where it's like, by the way, everyone can time travel, and including you, the viewer. So join us, won't you?
and they're like, so they do cuts forward, they do cuts back, and then they do cuts within the cuts. Like it was just, and then it was really amusing to me. They just got progressively fuzzier as it was like a cut within the cut.
Yeah.
I was like,
at one point,
who storyboarded this?
At one point, the only way I could tell the difference between the timelines was how Alex was styling her hair. Because in the past timeline, she has like gentle curls, but in the now timeline, girl is straight as a razor in those fine locks. I don't know what happened. Man. Well, I guess that's what this season is about. And apparently, according to Entertainment Weekly, they did a similar dual competing timeline thing in season 1.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me it was renewed for season 2 because it's so hard to follow.
Like, what executive was like, no, I'll test this for you. Yeah, no, what? I don't understand any of the
It would
premise.
be one thing if, like, the show was really trying to take narrative risks with these dueling timelines, and you were forced to, like, because you cared about the characters, you were forced to sort of navigate this complicated story. And I was just like, I want this to be over so I can figure out when I am in the present. And at one point in the Entertainment Weekly recap, a paragraph starts, "In this present." And it's my favorite piece of rhetoric ever, maybe. But so she's in the car, and then she's in the future. And she's in New York, and it's a Saturday, and it's a summit for people.
G20 summit.
G20, is that a real summit?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Oh, okay. Well, they're talking about government surveillance?
Yeah, ending surveillance.
Yeah, they're talking about government surveillance. The president is there.
He's a black man.
Also,
with a white wife.
Alex's former flame? It's very unclear because, again, in the past, he is her current flame.
But in the past, present participle...
In the past, present participle, it's very unclear.
He is her now.
Peter Piper, Pickle, Priyanka Chopra.
God, it was obnoxious.
So let's call him Baldy.
Baldy boyfriend?
Yeah, I think in this timeline, in this present.
Okay, timelines, don't do this to me.
He works in the Secret Service. And also, we learned that he and Alex met in the FBI, and then in season 2,
they fell in love. I think she's the guy because I think we did watch the first episode together, didn't we? And then because I watched the first episode, and like she has sex with him immediately. I'm pretty sure that's the character they have sex.
Dang,
she has
girl.
sex with. Like,
this is why she and Nick Jonas are getting married. I think she's like 12 years older than him or something.
What?
Yeah.
You shouldn't. You know way too much about her life right now. This is
okay. Listen,
you're too invested.
I may have been doing some googling of Meghan Markle. It turns out Meghan Markle, also known as the most beautiful woman on the planet, maybe, is like besties with Priyanka Chopra, and Priyanka Chopra was in Meghan Markle's wedding. And
I love that name, Priyanka. I think that's a cool name.
And now Priyanka is married to the youngest Jonas.
Really?
Yeah, the bonus Jonas.
but really?
I mean,
how old are the Jonas
this is
brothers,
also
though?
going to reveal the extent to which I follow the tabloids, but we know he has a fondness for older women because he also has dated Kate Hudson, who is even older than Priyanka Chopra.
Is it bad that I'm so interested in this? This
is way more interesting than anything that happened in Quantico.
Honestly, almost nothing happened in the Quantico episode. That's the biggest thing. It's the season opener. Like, terrorists show up, and I just don't care.
You know what? Let's spend the rest of the episode trying to finagle an invite to the Jonas Chopra wedding.
Wait, so they have impending nuptials? Is that?
I believe they are presently engaged as of this
wish
recording.
them well from Bad Watch.
My guess is they're planning a nice spring wedding. I'm sure they both live in L.A.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they need a good dancer, I'm sure. They can just call me.
There are no stars in the sky tonight because they're all at the Jonas Chopra wedding, including yours truly.
Yeah, if you're watching this in the future, if you're listening to this in spring, we will be there. We're going to make this happen. Yes.
We have been there already. So in this present, when Alex is in New York she's like, I don't know if she's supposed to work the G20 summit or if she just happens to be in New York getting coffee down the street from the G20
Wait,
summit.
so wasn't she was meeting up with, what's his face? Because he was going to the G20 and they were meeting up and then she gave the ring back, right? That was...
Oh, right. I think that was it.
So they were meeting
spoiler
up.
alert, in the past timeline, he proposes.
In the darkest timeline. Actually, it's all the darkest timeline here.
In the first dark timeline. He proposes. But we don't see that in this episode. I'm assuming they saved that for the season finale.
They showed that happen initially.
Takes the ring from his pocket and she says, "No, put that away. We're gonna wait."
In like a moment that I guess we're supposed to care about, but I don't.
Yeah, I was just like, "Oh God, thank goodness the show's almost over."
So seriously, if you watch this episode, so much of the time I was trying to focus and like learn the characters and listen and appreciate what they tried to put out, and then I was just like, it sucked me out because all I was doing is like, they're about to cut to the future past. I don't know what's happening. Wait, am I ready? Am I ready? Like, I needed to be ready for the ride, and I wasn't.
I know I razzed on Dark Matter for their extremely high number of characters, but honestly, I know way more of who those people are than anyone in Quantico. So, good for you, Dark Matter. Perhaps I owe you a second look. No, I don't.
No.
But she's there, she's getting coffee, and she sees a plain white box truck drive by.
This was
and
BS.
all of a sudden, her spidey senses are tingling.
No one makes deliveries on the weekends.
And then
In
she
downtown
looks across the
Brooklyn,
plaza. And she very clearly holds up her phone to take multiple photos of this man. And he turns towards her and sees that he is being photographed.
Oh,
and
I don't think he does. He's just scanning them.
He's just checking out
everything.
Alex's legs or something. He's just being a creep. But he keeps walking, and she calls Blondie, who I guess is another season 1 friend, and she's like, "I need you to run someone through the database." And she's like, "Alex, I can't just do that." She's like, "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important." And she's like, "Who is it?" And
a dead man.
It's a dead man. And she's like, "Well, if you saw him, how do you know he's dead?"
Because I'm about to kill him.
No, she said, "Because I killed him."
Oh, I thought she said she was about to kill him.
No, because I killed him.
God, I'm just tired just thinking about it.
Cut back?
Yeah, we cut. Hold on.
Oh no.
Oh, so Ryan, the bald boyfriend, was in President Todd's detail. Thank you, Entertainment Weekly. You're saving us here because
Entertainment Weekly probably watched this episode like 7 times just to keep everybody straight.
God. Okay, so then they cut back after. Yeah, I'm the one who killed him. That's what she said. Then they cut back to 1 year prior, and this is her.
Oh, and then we meet the Post-it note bandit.
Oh, God, this was so dumb.
So there's all these very attractive people doing different things all over the United States. There's a person in Chicago, there's a person in D.C., there's a person somewhere else. And what happens to all of them is they're doing something innocuous, like
taking pictures,
making out. And someone puts a Post-it on the camera lens, or they're awkwardly making out in the back of a gay club. And they find... While they're getting pickpocketed?
No, he was robbing the other guy.
Oh, while pickpocketing someone? Anyway, that relationship has some problems.
It was a gay makeout robbery.
It was a gobbery.
Maybe.
I think you made that joke when we were watching it.
It was a gobbery. Maybe,
I was gobsmacked by the gobbery.
That might, you know what, Evan, I don't think we can judge. That might have been his kink. I don't know.
He's like, "Will you make out with me even if I rob your money from you?" And the dude's like, "Do I get it back? Is there like a return policy? Are you like a really good kisser?"
No, I'll make it worth it.
This dude, he's American, but he has a British accent and also ears the size of satellite dishes, and they stick like perpendicular from his head, which is sort of endearing in a way. But yeah,
don't say that about these characters. No one was endearing.
In that past, Alex, Blondie, and Baldy, they're all out getting drinks. Alex gets up and she's like, "I'm gonna get a drink at the bar," because they're at a table. And then she goes up to the bar, and I think she opens her wallet, and that's where the Post-it note is. She finds a Post-it note. No,
she found a Post-it note on her computer screen at work. Someone got in to where was she at FBI at that point, like in the basement or something.
Yeah.
So she's in the basement of somewhere, some office, and someone snuck in and put a Post-it note on her computer screen when she looked away for a second.
Post-it note bandit.
Yeah, but that was the most asinine and ridiculous thing. Like, it was just like, someone's just ninjaing post-it notes. Like one woman gets back to her car and there's a post-it note on the inside of her vehicle.
Speaking of that woman, she gets into her car and there's a post-it note attached to the inside of her windshield. And you later learn that these post-it notes are for when these people can expect a phone call summoning them to a CIA training thing.
Yeah.
Also, the woman who finds the post-it note in her car, we later realize is not actually in training. She's an undercover instructor.
Yeah, so I don't know why they even bothered showing that. Like, it was just
They want you to really be invested in this woman's alcoholic mother and the fact that she's an actuary, none of which is true, by the way.
Yeah, I don't... Everyone lies to each other, and it's just dumb and annoying. I was just...
Her sad sex story later. We cut back to this present, the G20 summit. All of a sudden, Alex sees 2 more plain white box trucks.
Yeah, she's like, box trucks mean bad news. And apparently no one can transport them around her.
And they're also the only cars driving through this area. There are no pedestrians, but she nevertheless yells, "Everyone get down!" And it's like her and the dude selling coffee. It's really weird. But apparently they're safe.
So all these boxcars go out, and they all blow up in a very weird perimeter. It zooms out.
Zooms out, and you see this awkward-looking C shape of explosions in the middle of Manhattan. And honestly, it kind of looks like the tip of a penis.
It was a circle. They encircled the area.
It was lopsided.
It did remind me of the old bait and tackle. I will.
No, I
deny.
Just the tip of the tackle. I'm trying to keep track of this.
Just a hint of the tackle.
Just a little bit. Just the tip. But anyway, it cuts back after the explosion.
So the explosion happens, and then suddenly there are hundreds of armed assailants flooding the G20 summit. So apparently all the external security wasn't there. No one's at the UN checking this out. It was ridiculous.
It's literally the most armed villains I've ever seen in a TV show, I'm pretty sure.
It was just a lot of baddies.
Yeah, a lot of baddies. And they run in, and Baldy's like, "We gotta get the president out of here." And he tries to get the president out of there, but he can't because the bad guys lock the doors. And then, as your wife pointed out, the bad guys put like what look like thermal detonators from Star Wars
yes.
on the doors to this big conference room where they're all meeting, or like lecture hall.
Yeah.
And then
there's a red light flashes.
There's a red light flashing, and you think, oh, they're going to blow everyone up, but no, they're just sending all this noxious gas.
So yeah,
through
these
the
tiny little
system.
these tiny little things that they use, they just put it down, and then everyone they're like,
this show
a ton of
doesn't even
gas
try to
happens.
fake that the gas is coming through the doors on which the thermal detonators are attached.
Yeah,
they literally show a cut of a ventilation duct with just white gas.
Yeah. All they needed to do was show them setting up the gas like a day before or something. Like, that would be a quick cut. You know, they're fans of cuts.
They could have saved on their thermal detonator budget.
Yeah.
I mean,
they could have said 3 days ago, and then just that, they're really fans of that anyways. Yeah. Actually, if they had started doing things like 3 days ago, I probably would have just given up. If I just don't tell me anymore.
So then we go back to the past, and it's all the attractive people who were victims of the Post-it Bandit standing in the middle of a field in the middle of the night. The next time we see them, it's day, which sort of was very confusing.
Good night's sleep at the CIA's behest.
Yeah, and then we're back in this present, and the bad guys announce themselves as, "We are the Citizens Liberation Front." We go back to this past, and they...
Wait, which past now?
Well, okay. What
is
happened
this past?
when Alex arrived at Sexy Summer Camp, she sees Baldy there, and they realize that they've been lying to each other because they were both asked by the FBI to spy on the CIA.
Well, so then it cuts to part of that year earlier time frame when Alex and Baldy Boyfriend are mad at their respective people because they're like, "We want you to infiltrate. We think there's a rogue group in the CIA.
We need you to spy on your fellow countrymen," because that's what the FBI does all the time.
Yeah.
And they also, this really annoyed me, the jowly white guy, Charlie from Charlie's Angels.
Wait, isn't that the job of the FBI? That's internal. CIA is external. Yes.
I don't think they do interdepartmental spying.
I mean, I'm sure they
would,
right? Like, you'd want to keep an eye on those rapscallions over at the CIA.
They're close enough that they could just meet for lunch.
Yeah, but the CIA people lie for a living, right? The rapscallions.
As we learned from
hoodlums,
from jowly white guy Charlie, he's like, there's a group of rogue agents inside the CIA who are, they want to go back to the old days when they
had no oversight,
and they could torture people. I think they don't ever say this, but the unspoken is back when they could torture people.
I mean, we do that now. So
yeah, it's not really the past.
So I guess times are still great. I don't really.
We've made America great again.
We want to go back to the times when we would overthrow, when we have we'd overthrow countries for fruit. That was a great time.
But you do learn from Charlie McJowls. The bad guy that they're supposed to be spying on is named Owen Hall, who is an instructor at the CIA. They believe is recruiting
for the
extremists while he's training them to be CIA agents.
Wait, can we like call them, like, we got to name this group? Can we call them, like, what was it, G.I. Joe, like the bad guy? Was it Cobra?
Cobra.
Can we just call them Cobra?
Yeah, actually, okay. So the bad guys are officially Cobra.
Yep, as of now.
Better
than whatever name they were about to give us later in episode 2. Alex
and Baldy are like, well, we'll do it, but
this is crazy. This is crazy, guys.
My hair's curly now. Did you like it? I guess not, because I changed it to straight later.
But that's only because we're in the present.
And then, so they're at sexy CIA summer camp, and I was just immediately disappointed. I was like, oh, the guy they're supposed to be monitoring is like the show's single black male, except for the president. So the fictional president in the Quantico-verse. Then they have to do these really dumb, like, fake spy trainings. Like, they have to take a lie detector test, and then they have to take it again and reverse all their answers, but still beat the polygraph. Yeah. And, like, from my understanding, you don't just, like, intuitively know how to beat a polygraph. Like, it's something the CIA actually has to train you to do. It's not a thing they use to weed you out on day one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a pretty good point, I think.
I think they say at one point, it's 20 questions, and if you get this, like, it's like the taboo buzzer noise.
Yeah.
If you hear this noise 5 times, you're going home. And it's like, oh, these are such big stakes. Oh no. And a bunch of people go home, but it seems like their numbers never get smaller.
Well, that's because they focused on all the attractive people they were keeping initially. So
that's true.
They don't bother with the
They send the uglies home.
They didn't make the cut.
Then
your face wasn't chiseled enough.
Yeah. So then, for another exercise, they go to a bar, and they're each given a piece of paper that has like a single word written on it, and that word relates to
something of that another
it's like a
of
secret one of the other trainees is holding.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous.
Because Alex's clue is just Andy.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, we're getting very meta here all of a sudden.
Yeah. They know.
in this.
Oh no. In the darkest
while all this is happening, they're literally at a bar, and Alex
and they're like, the booze is on us.
Like, well,
so they all get drunk.
How are we gonna find out each other's secrets without revealing too much about ourselves? And then Alex is like, I think we all just get sloppy drunk.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens.
So everyone starts drinking heavily and chatting and trying to get information from each other. But the thing is just frustrating because, like, Alex is talking to the girl who turns out to be the co-trainer.
Yeah, the one other female trainee.
Yeah.
For the CIA, who's actually an instructor.
Yeah, she's the only one that talks to that lady. Like, they're the only people that talk. Like,
they only talk to each other.
Yeah, it's like it's ridiculous because, like, for what comes later. But so they're talking and they show each other their cards and it's like, okay, and she's like, well, that's not me, and they're like, that's not me either. So all right, there you go, and then they just move on. But it's just. It's so dumb. They talk, and then I don't understand how she even passed that section because she failed entirely to get.
I think she only passed that section so they could fuck with her when they jump out of a plane.
Oh, really? Because it didn't make she failed entirely.
Yeah, they never say. Well, they do say they sort of give you a bullshit reason, like what the clue Andy means. Apparently, it's the undercover instructor's favorite Goonie.
But how are you supposed to drill to that information? Let's talk about...
I don't know. When I'm meeting strangers, that's the first thing I go for is the classic film The Goonies, starring a young Sean Astin and Josh Brolin.
Always start with Never Have I Ever and Goonies references. Like, this is...
I'm a chunk man myself.
I just don't understand it. Like, how are you supposed to drill to that? And so then the next training thing that we see is them... they're all all have been drinking for hours, presumably.
Yeah, and so if but before they while they're drinking, undercover instructor tells Alex about how her mom, she was an actuary, but her mom was an alcoholic and she had to do all this stuff on her own, and somehow she's in the CIA. Like, none of it makes sense, and also it's completely bullshit.
We find out later it's bullshit, and that betrayal hurts Alex for some reason, like deeply.
It's bullshit and really fake bullshit. Like, I'm not a spy in any sense, and I could tell it was bullshit.
Like, everyone's been lying to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even understand. Alex is apparently the most trusting and most idiotic FBI agent. I don't really get it.
She's so naive and has such nice full lips. And then they're in a plane.
Then they're like, everyone's sober up quickly, which is not how sobering up works. And then he's like, we're going to do Halo jumps. Which is...
Because in 1 hour, you're going to jump out of a plane.
Which is, Halo stands for high altitude, low something. I think it's because...
Low oxygen?
Is it maybe? Yeah, I think that's Halo, actually. Because you start really high is a Halo, if I recall right. Correctly.
But so they're clearly not very high because they're all chilling up in this airplane. The door is wide open, and they're all just talking.
And they can still hear each other, which is just...
There's no sound of rushing wind or anything.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
And undercover instructor is like, my harness won't buckle. And Alex is like, oh no, you have to tell Owen. Go tell him now. And so she does, and they're having a whispery conference up by the plane
something.
door.
We don't know what they're doing.
And then, meanwhile, in the back of the plane, Alex and Baldy are like, you've been lying to me. No, you've been lying to me.
Yeah.
We're in such a good place right now. I don't want you to be undercover when you're with me.
It's so bad.
And like, I don't want you to be undercover when you're with me either, babe.
This plane with these suspected, basically domestic terrorists types are trying to recruit you. Now is the time to hash out your professional and personal differences. It's like, this is not a viable option.
Yeah.
In front of a bunch of co-trainees. I don't understand.
Yeah, and it's clear like everyone can hear them. It's like, oh, they have a thing. Okay, got it.
Yeah, people are looking, and it's like, what is happening?
There's one character who's like the dorky writer, and I think at one point they describe him as Millennial Tom Clancy.
Ugh.
And it's his turn to jump out of the plane. His harness did fasten, but he chickens out, and Owen Hall's like, sit your ass down, you're going home. And he's like, oh, man. And then Lydia's up there with her fake harness, I guess.
So she tries to jump.
She tries to jump, and you see very quickly, like, as she's heading towards the door, her harness still isn't buckled.
Like, another buckle comes out.
There's so many buckles, and they're all undone.
So Alex has seen, like, 3 buckles now that are just falling apart. And so she's like,
from the back of the plane, Alex leaps forward and grabs this woman by the scruff of her neck, hanging from the air.
She's just one arm in this lady.
She's one-arming a full-grown woman out the side of a plane, and also yelling at everyone to help her.
And they can hear her.
And they're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. So then the instructor dude, Owen or whatever, is like, yeah, release her, let her go. Like he's like mad at her. Alex gets a Baldy boyfriend to come help. He pulls her up, and they've saved the day. And then he tells them that they have to jump, so they jump.
Yeah, then we're all back on the ground, thank God. And also, meanwhile, we keep cutting back to this present where more shit is going down in New York, but it's all really boring. Yeah. Despite the fact that that's where all the guns are happening.
Yeah, despite the high intensity and the fact that people could die any moment, we just don't care.
The Baldy's there, he's like pretending to say to the terrorists, like, I can convince the president to negotiate with you. He and I were tight. Mm-hmm. And he goes into this room where the president and the first lady are just chilling. And I think at this point they've already threatened the president, like, if you do not meet our demands and pardon this certain person, we'll execute your wife. Yeah. And the president's like, not my wife. So Baldy's in this conference room with them, and they're like, well, I think it's time to negotiate with terrorists. And Baldy's like so affronted. He's like, the United States doesn't negotiate with terrorists. And he's like, grow up. We always have.
They just don't know it. Though when he walks in, the first lady gets like her basically only line, and she goes, well, now it's a party. And then like,
I forgot about that.
I was like, really?
Baldy sits down, and it's like, are they going to have a threesome? Because she's so excited by his arrival. It's like that one dude they sleep with in House of Cards. Mitchum? I think it's Mitchum. Maybe that's the deodorant. I don't know.
Why not both?
In the perfect past. They land from their plane jump.
Oh, yeah.
And they're walking towards their Owen Hall, the instructor, and he's like, "Good job, you all made it." And then he's like, "Alex Parrish, step forward." He's like, You disobeyed a direct order. If we'd been in the field, you would have blown the mission. And then the fake actuary.
She's like, I saved her life.
Yeah, the undercover instructor like walks up. All of a sudden, this woman's a hard ass bitch.
Swagger.
And she's like, "You blew it, Alex." And it's like, "Rawr."
But she's like, I've done this 57 times, and I was gonna be fine, and I knew someone was gonna be a hero, and that's how you ruin missions. If you try and be a hero and save like a valuable resource / friend. I didn't really understand that part, like that logic. So like, if apparently in the CIA, no one else matters except you, but you also have a team, but you're not supposed to care about trying to save them if it could help. Like so. So in her work, I just don't understand it at all.
What they're saying is, if her strap had actually been unbuckled, Alex should have just let this woman die,
and that would have saved the mission somehow. When you're and theoretically,
that's clearly CIA protocol.
God, so like theoretically,
because CIA agents, they're just a dime a dozen.
I guess
they're not special people. You can find them anywhere.
Not trained. So apparently, say they're inserting into a new country to try and overthrow something XYZ.
Yeah, it's a counterinsurgency operation.
Yeah, but it's like you're going to start the operation down one person because they splatted, but I couldn't say anything or help them because that would be.
I'm on a plane full of my colleagues, and none of us could save her, unfortunately.
No, it's really rough out there being a CIA agent.
Man, shit gets real.
We just don't give a shit. I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
It's the worst. And then the meeting breaks up, and Alex goes up to undercover instructor. He's like, "Your alcoholic mom." As if that's the most offensive thing that's happened in this entire
Besides the
charade.
insane logic they just applied to how operations at the CIA work. I'm upset about this obviously fake alcoholic mom story.
Yeah. And
You told me the truth, but it was a lie.
I think the perfect past timeline ends the following day, where they're in their first day at CIA school. And they talk about this thing called the murder board, where every week they rank everyone in the class. And they say, first of all, this is like a 6-month intensive training. So how many weeks is that? 4 times 6, 24? 24 weeks. And there are what? How many people?
So there were 20 people.
There are 20 people in this group. And so they say, if you're at the bottom of the murder board more than once, you're gone. And then they revealed this week's murder board. And it's also only the second day, which doesn't seem fair. But Alex, of course, is at the bottom because she blew the mission and didn't let her colleague die. So let's go back to the G20.
So if there's 24 weeks, everyone loses. They're running to negative.
Gonna have like 5 people.
They're going to be there are 20 people. They're going to run out of people at the end.
It doesn't make any sense. But back at the ranch or the G20 summit, because Alex is a badass FBI agent and CIA agent and has great hair and very full lips, which your wife kept pointing out, it looks like she's had some collagen injections. They are very large lips. Perhaps they're just prosthetic. I don't know. They were extremely large. But she's sneaking around the building, going solo, does not have a gun.
No.
And
making moves.
And I'm convinced also has the Harry Potter cloak of invisibility because no one sees her for some reason.
No one.
Despite the fact she's running around in very high heels.
And this is like a group of armed assailants who have planned everything to the second, apparently. Like the bombs went off that blew up around Manhattan, and like within 15 seconds, 30 armed people were swarming the whole building and had like everyone in hand. Like it was like there was no delay. They had everyone ready. So this is like hundreds of people basically orchestrating this.
Whatever is the opposite of a snafu in military parlance, that's what this was. The opposite of a snafu. A situation normal, all good to go. A snag to go. Snag. It was a real snag to go, as they say in the army.
They do love their acronyms.
But she's running around, and they're looking. The bad dudes.
They've got like cases, and they said that there's going to be a bioterrorism weapon.
Storage crates. Yeah, they've threatened to release a chemical weapon.
So she gets to a storage crate, looks into it,
and it's just like a bunch of microphones and helmets.
Well, it's like more of the robbers, the attackers' gear.
Yeah, it's like more outfits,
which is
for
weird.
when they get their first outfit dirty.
And then someone walks up, and instead of just shooting her because she's seen too much or whatever, he's gotta talk to her.
It's a classic Return of the Jedi problem. Whereas every time one of the rebel fighters, aka Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and company, sees a stormtrooper, they just blow him the fuck away. Whereas anytime a stormtrooper comes across rebel scum, they're like,
stop,
halt,
rebel scum,
halt, and it's like, no,
which is really begs the question of who the bad guys really are.
Really, there's a lot of literature about this, but we won't get into that. But yeah, he's like, what are you doing? And he has a very small pistol to the back of her head. And she fights him off.
She puts her arms up, she stands up, and then she gets the drop on him somehow.
Because she's super spy.
Yeah.
And then she runs away. He does get a shot off, but it doesn't hit her. They fight some more. There's a cut back to the past.
He gets her on the ground, kicks her several times in the ribs. She gets up, beats the crap out of him, and takes the gun away.
She gets up and she's like, oh, thanks for that warm up. It just keeps trucking.
That's like coffee to me.
I love it. I'm so turned on right now.
Swift kick in the ribs with a military boat. Nailed it.
And then she gets the guy's gun, and they're in like some boiler room. And she's like, tell me who you are. And he's like, he has his hands up and doesn't say anything. She's like, do it. And for whatever reason, he still doesn't move. But then she just was able to rip off his helmet. And
without him reacting and trying to get the drop on her.
It's none other than millennial Tom Clancy.
Jeremy Miller.
And she's like, I killed you. And he's like, there's a lot you don't know. He's so snarky about it.
If he had said it that way, the show would have been much better.
He would have had so much more personality if I were playing all the characters.
So then like during this scuffle, a shot had hit a window.
Yeah.
And so now this, like office windows, they're very thick and made to not collapse. He just runs at it and flies out and dies.
He kills himself by running through the damaged window, jumping to his death, presumably. But then again, we thought he died once before, or so we've been told. No one's really sure how many.
He's actually the zombie Lord Christ.
He's like a cat. He's on life 7 as of after window jump.
I prefer that to actually be Jesus. You give him 3 days, he'll be back. He'll be back at it.
Jesus, take the wheel and make sure you're wearing your seatbelt. So yeah, he's gone, and then the episode, they cut back to everyone in the main room of this summit, and the president is back. They pardon the guy.
He did pardon the guy, and they're looking. They were like, we have more pardons they want to get or something. But they separate people.
Yeah, they grab the first lady.
Yeah.
And the president's like, you said you wouldn't harm her if I pardoned whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I kept. It sounded like they were saying lawyer, but maybe
I heard like Tom Moyer.
Moyer?
Moyer. That's
what I thought they were just talking about a generic.
We don't care about these names anyways.
The one lawyer in the United States. It was really weird. But anyway, they pull up the first lady, and someone's like, "We're streaming now." And the episode ends with one of the baddies raising up a machete over the first lady's neck and then lowering it very slowly.
So I have to say, and like, so they have like chop people's heads off. I think that like there's a lot of meat to go through, and it was just like he took brought the blade up maybe a foot and a half, and was just like, all right, we're just gonna.
I think if I just gently let the blade go.
It's really sharp, guys. You don't want to apply too much pressure.
The world's sharpest machete.
You're just not going to do this.
He bought it from the late Billy Mays, and Billy Mays was like, you don't need a whetstone for this bad boy. It'll chop off your whole head in one clean slice.
That's a lot of damage.
Ew, that's a lot of damage. Then the episode ends, and we're so grateful.
We're all better for it ending, not for sitting through it.
And you know what? I'm sure Priyanka Chopra and Bonus Jonas will live happily ever after, as long as we're invited to their wedding. Get at us. You can find me on Twitter at Evan W. Stoner. Let's do this.
What do people say if they have YouTube channels? So hit that like button.
Hit that
subscribe.
Actually, you should subscribe to our podcast. We're very charming. But before we get to predictions for the rest of Quantico.
No, I refuse. The only thing that will happen is that they will continue going back in time at a fast rate.
Do you want to know who sponsored this episode?
I would love to know who sponsored this.
Well, you've heard of ZipRecruiter, but what about Fast Fired? Where if you have an employee who's just not performing and it's time for them to go, but for whatever reason you're feeling uncomfortable about pulling the trigger on their dismissal.
Confrontation's rough.
It is rough. And you know what? Fast Fired is there for you. They call this person on their work phone and let them know that they are let go, effective immediately. And they give, all the HR speak, why and how fast firing service isn't illegal in any way. and the person cries, and they're not trained counselors, so at that point they try to wrap up the call pretty quickly. But all in all, it's a clean break. And it does, when you book your first 10 fast fired calls, you must have a seriously high rate of turnover. You get 10 bankers boxes for free. So these people, you can just casually walk by when they're on the phone and drop off a banker's box, and they're crying. Maybe you have like some tissues in the bottom, and you're just like, just pack up your stuff. We need your desk for the new person starting tomorrow. And it's the best. So go to fastfired.com/badwatch to get your first firing free.
I feel like we need a version of this for dating.
I think there is a website you can go to and book a breakup. I'm not sure what it's called, but I do think that exists.
Okay, all right.
There's a really funny one that they posted on YouTube where the woman breaks up with a guy because he plays too much Farmville, that Facebook game.
That's a game, yeah, okay.
They're on the phone with him and they can hear him playing Farmville in the background. It's both sad and hilarious at the same time. Much like my favorite YouTube video, Grape Lady. If you haven't seen Grape Lady, go Google it. Stop the podcast, pull over if you're driving, and go Google Grape Lady right this moment. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Okay. That's a sneak preview Goodwatch for this week. So my prediction for Quantico is that the two timelines are gonna merge like the end of Memento. And it'll turn out that Charlie McJowley is the bad guy all along.
No.
And then Owen Hall is like, I've been after you for years, motherfucker. And then they kill each other. And Alex Parrish is like, oh my God. And then it looks like she killed them both when Baldy walks in the room. And that's what really does their relationship in.
I really want this to happen now. I'm super intrigued. I would follow this ridiculous plotline.
Quantico, I know you've been canceled, but let's talk. I can work on a freelance basis. I do want the name, or not the name. I can keep my name. But I want the title, showrunner. So let's talk. We can negotiate. But yeah, let's do
Goodwatch stuff.
Goodwatch. Andy can go first because he spoiled my fun Goodwatch jingle.
Honestly, I was hoping I would be able to play off yours. My mind is so wiped from Quantico chat. I'm empty right now. I'm running on E.
You know what? That's okay, because I can come up with two Goodwatches right now. One of them is the aforementioned Grape Lady, which
that doesn't even count.
She is doing a news segment where she's at a vineyard somewhere. I want to say Georgia or
is this the one in Falls?
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
She's on a platform stomping grapes with her feet, and they're doing like a cheesy race for the news segment, and hilarity ensues.
I apologize for anyone who got ruined
and
by my
is
excitement.
They cut back to the newscasters like in their comfy studio in their suits, and they're like, she's actually hurt. Ooh, oh. And it's the greatest thing. Go watch it. Also, if you do go to my Twitter or Instagram, my second Goodwatch it's a 52-second clip from season 3 of Daredevil. I want to say episode 5. And I really wanted to like this season of Daredevil. I've wanted to like all of them, and I have watched the first 2. I didn't particularly enjoy either.
No, they were just okay.
And this was sort of the final straw for me, where Daredevil entered some serious Iron Fist territory, where Kingpin also known as Wilson Fisk, and played by the inimitable Vincent D'Onofrio. Sugar Water.
Can you just reprise that role?
I just
love
want
that
him
role.
to be Sugar Water all the time. It's a clip of...
Eggerskin.
It's a black and white clip of two people very slowly eating pizza.
I wanted a sandwich.
Are
they both pizza?
It's pizza.
Okay.
And
looking at him.
He's like looking between both of them. And it's completely silent except for the music. And it gives me so much joy every time I watch it, which is a lot by this point. So yeah, at Evan W. Stoner on Twitter and Instagram, that's one hell of a good watch for this week. Also, don't actually watch Daredevil. It's not good, but just watch this little clip.
I still don't have a good watch. I'm emotionally spent after Quantico. I think it should be Quanti-no. It's just not good.
Quanti-no. What did they say on Parks and Rec? That's another good watch.
Parks and Rec.
Worst.
They also said treat yourself, which is not what we're doing here when we watch these shows.
Alex could take a cue from those obnoxious Rip siblings where they're doing that thing in the park and they're like, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Anyway, this has been...
Oh, wait, no. I do have a good watch. No. Everyone hold your horses. Don't you leave yet. Don't you turn that dial. Whatever you call it. My good watch is actually Letterkenny. Everyone should watch that show. It is hilarious, super tight, small cast, and it's just... The writing is excellent. I love it so much.
It's truly hysterical. If any of our Canadian listeners, I'm sure Letterkenny is already near and dear to your hearts. You Americans, get on it. Stream it on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. It's so good.
Check it out. It's the dopest.
Yeah.
He's Andy.
That guy's Evan.
And don't go to Quanti-no.
Don't.
Actually, we should do like a down in Quanti-no. Don't sue us, Brian Wilson. Okay, bye.